People often mistake the moment of greatest danger for the time you sink into the dark abyss, but the shadows are not as terrifying as light. Welcome to the harrowing journey of saturation divers, men who traded their natural breath for the heavy silence of the deep ocean's most crushing pressures. These men inhabit a world where physics dictates reality, and the transition back to our world is more dangerous than the dive itself. Let us begin. The machinery hums a constant, rhythmic tune that becomes the only heartbeat these divers know while they are trapped within their steel-reinforced underwater homes. Every tick of the needle is a reminder of the thousands of pounds of water pressing down, held back only by engineering and a thin layer. Returning to the light is not a relief. It is a confrontation with a reality that no longer feels like home for those who stayed below. Before we descend deeper into this psychological void, please subscribe to join us as we explore the hidden corners of the human mind and spirit. In the depth of the ocean, your breath is no longer your own. It is a calculated mixture of gases delivered by a cold, mechanical system. Don't miss the rest of this journey into the abyss. Hit the bell to stay updated on the stories of those who live on the edge. The descent is just the beginning of a transformation that will change a man's biology and his soul forever, deep within the crushing ocean floor. When the hatch closes, the world of sun and air is gone, replaced by a metal cage that will be your only sanctuary for months. Living in a compression chamber is not just a physical challenge, it is a psychological invasion, where the air itself becomes a purely synthetic mixture. Your lungs must learn to accept a gas that sounds like high-pitched whispers, as the helium distorts every word you try to speak to others. You do not live in the ocean. You live in a floating iron box, suspended in a void, where every breath is monitored by computers. Human instinct is slowly stripped away, replaced by the rigid parameters of life support systems that define whether you live or die that day. The identity of the diver is reduced to a set of numbers on a screen, a biological variable in a high-stakes equation of survival underwater. The world above continues to turn, but for those in the bell, the concept of a city or a home becomes a distant, fading dream. Everything familiar is blacked out, leaving only the cold reality of the chamber and the relentless pressure that keeps the outside world at bay. Friendship in the chamber is silent and heavy, a bond formed by shared isolation and the constant awareness of the miles of water above. Looking through the glass, you see nothing but the void, a reflection of the emptiness that begins to grow within your own tired mind. The pressure is a physical presence, a weight that settles into your bones and stays there, reminding you that you are a trespasser here. Even in sleep, there is no escape from the feeling of being confined, of being a prisoner in a world that never sleeps or breathes. Sensory deprivation begins to play tricks on the mind, as the flicker of a lamp becomes a message from a world you barely remember. The path forward is always narrow, always cold, and always leading deeper into the heart of the abyss where the light cannot ever reach. At 300 meters deep, silence is not the absence of sound, but a crushing weight against your ears that makes you question existence. The light only serves to show how vast the darkness truly is, a flickering candle in a cathedral of water that goes on forever. You are surrounded by a graveyard of ancient things, where the dust of the earth settles to rest in the eternal calm of the deep. Alien life forms drift by, creatures of a world that was never meant for human eyes, reminders that you are an intruder in their realm. The landscape is one of jagged peaks and silent valleys, a hidden continent that has never seen the sun or felt the warmth of air. Every movement requires a focused effort of will, as if the water itself is trying to hold you still and claim you for itself. That thin yellow line is your only connection to life, a fragile umbilical cord that carries your breath and your warmth from the surface. Inside the helmet, you are alone with your thoughts, and the sound of your own heart becomes a drumbeat in the absolute, terrifying quiet. The bubbles you release are the only things that get to return home quickly, escaping the pressure that holds you firmly in its grip. The floor of the world is a cold, indifferent place, where time stands still and the pressure of the ages is felt in every grain. Work is a distraction from the fear, a mechanical routine that keeps the mind from drifting into the dangerous territories of the deep soul. Death is only a small fracture away, a tiny mistake in the machinery that would let the ocean rush in and erase your existence. In this absolute solitude, you begin to wonder if the world above still exists, or if you are the last living soul left anywhere. Decompression is not just for the body, it is a slow process of reclaiming the soul from the abyss, one painful hour at a time. The weeks inside the chamber take their toll, carving lines of exhaustion into the faces of men who have forgotten the feeling of wind. Every day is a battle of patience, as the gases in your blood slowly seep out of your tissues, demanding a slow, agonizing wait. The mind begins to edit itself, blurring the memories of the surface until they become as unreachable as the sun in the deep water. Memories of family and friends become abstract concepts, distant stars that no longer provide warmth to a heart frozen by the deep sea's pressure. Writing in a journal is the only way to prove you are still human, to record the thoughts that the pressure tries to crush daily. As time passes, the words lose their meaning, becoming jagged marks of a mind struggling to stay anchored to the world of the living. The environment is constantly changing, a humid, artificial atmosphere that feels more like a laboratory than a place for a man to live. Every tick of the clock is a victory, a second closer to the door opening, yet the time feels stretched into an eternity of waiting. Hallucinations begin to creep in, shadows that move on their own, and voices that whisper from the corners of the small steel room. You hear the call of the ocean even when you are safe inside, a siren song that pulls at the parts of you still below. Learning to breathe normal air again is a physical struggle, a transition that the body resists after being submerged in gas for so long. The door remains shut until the very last molecule of helium is gone, keeping you in purgatory until you are fit for the world. When you finally step back into the world, everything is moving too fast, a chaotic symphony of noise and light that feels utterly overwhelming. The simple act of crossing a street becomes a monumental task for a mind that has been tuned to the slow rhythm of the abyss. The colors of the world seem wrong, too vibrant and sharp, as if the earth is a dream and the chamber was the reality. The wind on your skin feels abrasive, a reminder that you are no longer protected by the thick, steady pressure of the deep water. Connection with other people becomes a foreign language, their problems and their joys seeming trivial compared to the silence you have known. You walk among the living as a ghost, a shadow of the man you were before you descended into the crushing dark of the sea. Your reflection is a stranger's face, eyes that have seen things that can never be explained to those who stay on the dry land. The noise of life is a roar in your ears, a constant static that prevents you from hearing the world as you once did before. Even the simplest tasks are reminders of the trauma, a physical manifestation of the psychological pressure that still weighs heavy on your chest. The sun is no longer a source of life, but a burning light that exposes the cracks in your mind and your spirit's fragile state. You are home, but your heart is still caught in the extreme pressure, 1,000 miles away under the surface of the cold Atlantic. The water calls to you, not as a threat, but as the only place where the world finally makes sense and the noise stops. The journey back is never truly over. You are forever a creature of two worlds, belonging to neither, and haunted by the deep silence. After everything, they return to the quiet of their lives, carrying the weight of the ocean in their hearts and the depth in their eyes. They do not speak of the danger or the fear, they simply exist, cherishing the simple miracle of being able to breathe without a machine. The suit is left behind, but the experience is a second skin, a layer of resilience that few humans will ever truly understand or possess. Their reward is not the money or the fame, but the quiet satisfaction of knowing they have touched the bottom of the world and survived. The beauty of nature is rediscovered, every leaf and every breath of wind becoming a precious gift that was once lost in the dark. The ordinary moments of life are the most extraordinary when you have lived in a world where nothing is natural or guaranteed for long. In their silence, we find the true value of every single breath we take, a gift often ignored until it is almost taken away forever. Peace is finally found, not in the depths, but in the simple acceptance of the light and the rhythm of a life above the waves. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the pressure and the silence of the brave souls who live under the crushing deep. Remember that even in the darkest abyss, there is always a light to guide you back, if only you have the courage to wait. Good night to the divers, and to all who seek the truth in the hidden places of the world. May your breaths always be easy. Until we meet again in the next story of human resilience and the mysteries of our world, stay curious and keep exploring the depths.